Hello, everyone, and welcome to our weekly DVMUG meeting. Today's July the 23rd, 2024, and you all know me as Bruce, and I'm presenting today. Uh, Today, as always, we're going to start with news, which I have almost nothing of, but it's anyway. Then we have a couple, three videos, interesting videos and informative, as if you ask me. And at the end, we'll have a Q&A session. And this is where you are encouraged to ask your questions. John will, and the rest of us will do our best to try to answer these questions. And if we're not, we're going to provide you with more information on how to resolve that problem. So please ask questions. We like questions and we like to answer questions. So don't be holding back on anything. Anything regarding Mac, iPhone, or iPad, go ahead and ask. The links to these videos and the news have been updated to our, uploaded to our, uploaded to our DVMUG BBS. And you can find my email there and click on either the videos or the news and watch whatever you need or whatever you want. But for those of you that already are members and have the user ID and password, you know what to do. For those of you that don't, John Sobrero and Ann Griffith are your two admin gods, and they will provide you with the needed information if you have problems getting in. And you will, because they'll have to provide you with a password, temporary password, which you later on you're going to have to change. The links also will be put up to our chat on the Zoom. John will put that up there so you don't have to even go to the BBS. Uh, anyway, this meeting is being recorded. Uh, you later on can see it in YouTube. Go ahead and ask all kinds of questions, and we'll provide you with all the answers. So announcements. I don't really have any announcements, but as everybody heard, there is chaos going on out there with Microsoft equipment. And so update. We will have videos regarding how to deal with Microsoft Word when somebody sends you something, a Word document, and then we will also have a video regarding how to deal with audio files and video files and how to get individual pictures out of it if that's what you're looking for. And the last thing is going to be the 8 craziest Apple prototypes or unreleased products. So here we go with the news. Like I said, update, just to keep up to date. So according to Cult of Mac, Apple shows iPad market dominance and improving Mac sales. This came out a couple of weeks ago that I picked up. Apple at this point maintains 50.8% market share regarding tablets. And even better news, the analysts expect to see the computer market growth through 2025. So sounds like good deal for Apple. And the next thing is the App Store surpasses 15 billion downloads since it was launched in 2008. This is the App Store where we go to and we look for apps and of all kinds, and we download it to our desktops. So, or iPhones or iMacs and iPads. So 15 billion since 2008. And the next one is this was coming. This is according to PC Magazine. This was coming. This has to do with European people complaining and stuff. Well, Apple will allow iOS developers to accept third-party payments. They are now able to use other banks, use alternative payment methods, as long as the app also allows users to purchase through Apple's in-app purchasing system. So finally, after all these years that Apple was saying we are it and you use our payment system, they are allowing third-party payments being made. So far, I mean, so much for this news, and here we go for there's one more thing. From Cult of Mac, cool things you can do with an iPhone. This is not really news, but um, this is old. They're referring to old equipment and old iPhones, and they're saying there's like a whole bunch of stuff that you can do with it. I didn't uh, connect to all this, but I have a list of stuff that can be done. If you have an iPhone, an old iPhone, you can do it. You can use it to make a smart speaker. This smart speaker thing is they refer to, and again, the URL is up on the BBS. You can get a hold of it, and you'll see the whole presentation. The speaker is something called some kind of speaker of about $25 for a speaker from Amazon. You put your phone on top of it, and it magically starts uh, connects to your phone, and you can use it for playing your music, talking to Siri, getting all kinds of information. And that speaker makes it real loud. So they said the speakers come in two different versions. One is ABS plastic, and the other one is a nice looking wood frame. But anyway, it looks pretty nice. Number two is use an old phone as a security camera. If you have a security system at home, you can add it to your security system and you can see it from anywhere in the world. The third one is secondary dumb phone, meaning, well, you can only do so many things on it. You can use a calculator, you can use the camera. Uh, if you're on Wi-Fi, you can probably get mail and so on, but you can use it as a extra device. Number four is a webcam with continuity camera. We could use it right here. If I had one, I could have set it up and had the camera on top of the monitor, and I could have my iPhone 6, and you could see all kinds of angles. So, and the next one is use it as a B camera for some reason. I really don't know what they meant by it, but they do explain this in this presentation. Number six is make a do-it-yourself digital clock, weather station, or wall calendar. Um, you can purchase this holder that attaches to the back of a backsplash in the kitchen, and you can orient it horizontally, and you can see your clock or display weather or display do your calendar and so on. And number 7, you can use it for a picture frame. You can set with the same holder. You can use it. You can run a presentation, and you can show all your pictures one at a time, as fast as you want or as slow as you want. Another option is to play retro iPhone games. I've got a couple. One of is Mahjong. But anyway, you can, without putting it on your current phone, you can play your games on your extra phone. And the final last one is, okay, you can have some fun with it, and you can jailbreak it. You can change things around. You can load other stuff on it, and so on. So it's a couple of things, a few things for you to do if you have a spare phone to play with. And the next, we'll have videos. The next video is about what to do with when someone sends you a Microsoft Word file, and how to deal with it, and how to send it back in a way so they can read it. So here's Gary to show us how.
Hi, this is Gary with MacMost.com. Let's talk about what to do when somebody sends you a Microsoft Word document, but you don't have Microsoft Word. MacMost is brought to you thanks to a great group of more than 2,000 supporters. Go to MacMost.com/Patreon. There you could read more about it, join us, and get exclusive content and course discounts. Now, many Mac users can relate to this. You get an email.
Can anybody hear me? Or is it just me that has no sound?
It's just you.
Okay.
Message,
Sorry.
and instead of there being text in the email, there's this Microsoft Word document attachment. I've seen this done with corporate email, with email from schools, from organizations and clubs, or just from other individuals. I guess if you always had Word and you use Word for lots of things, it's just hard to fathom that other people may not use you do. And what if you need to edit the text and send it back to the person in Word format? Well, there are some things that you can do, and they won't cost any money. So here I've got 2 documents to test with. One's a simple little letter with basically just some text in it, and the other is a more complex layout document. If I were to look at them in Microsoft Word, or the sender send them to me as PDFs, I would see them and they would look like this. So there are some elements in this basic text document here, and you can see this one's a lot more complex. Now, if all I want to do is read what's in there, then I could just use Quick Look. I could use Quick Look by just selecting the file and then using the space bar to bring up Quick Look. And you can see here it doesn't show me the layout elements that are in this document, but I can see the text. And I can select and copy with Command-C the text there if I need to use it somewhere. The layout document fares a lot worse. This is what it looks like here. So you can see it does actually include everything, but it's all jumbled around. But I could still select some text if that's all I need and copy it. Or maybe all I needed to do was just see what this document was. And now I can respond to the person's email. And you can use Quick Look in the Mail app as well. So say if you've gotten these 2 documents as email attachments, you can select one, press the space bar, select the other, press the space bar, and quickly view what's in there like that. Now, another way to do it is to use TextEdit on your Mac. TextEdit can, of course, edit simple text documents, but also more complex, rich text format documents. And it can import Word documents. So if I drag this to TextEdit, you can see it opens it up and I've got everything available there. I'll do the same thing with this one here, and you could see it doesn't look nearly as good and the images aren't included, but I can get to the text if I need it. For more robust support when importing, you can use Pages instead. So I'm going to take this first document here, I'm going to drag it into Pages, and it'll open it up. And you can see here, it actually looks pretty close to the original document because Pages supports a lot of the same layout features that Word uses. And you could see here a little report showing that it didn't quite get it perfect. In Pages, you can simply use File Open, and then you can open any Word document like that. So for this one, you could see there are a few more things that it didn't get. Like, for instance, you're missing a font that's in there. But if you look at the document, it looks pretty close to what you would see in Word. Now, the advantage to Pages is you can actually save it out as a Word document. So if you needed to make changes to it, you can go to File, and you don't use Save, but instead use Export To and select Word. And now you can export it out as a Word document. Now, of course, any elements that you lost in translation between Word and Pages won't be there in the new version of the document. But if you don't need precision, it'll work well enough to edit somebody else's Word document and then get it back to them in the format that they want. Now there's another option, and that is to use Microsoft Word, except that Microsoft Word costs money. You have to get a subscription to use it or purchase a standalone version of it. But at the beginning of this video, I said you can do all this for free. Well, what I'm talking about is using Word without paying for it. So if you go to the App Store, you'll find that you can download Microsoft Word from there. So you don't have to get Word from Microsoft. You can get it from the Mac App Store. And there's no price listed here. You get Word for free. Now, to use some of the features, you're going to need a subscription. But the app itself downloads completely for free. So now let's launch Word. And if I bring it up like this, it seems to be a full-featured version of Word. Let's go ahead and open one of those documents. I'll select on my Mac here to select a file. And let's open this first document here. It opens up in Word, and it's going to look exactly as it should. Notice this message at the top that a subscription is required to edit and save. So yes, you won't be able to edit and save this document using Microsoft Word unless you have a subscription, but you can view it and view it in a more perfect way than any of these other options. Let's try that other document. And you can see that looks perfect. Now, unfortunately, not only can't you edit and save, but also it won't let you even copy text that's there. So this is only a good option for just simply viewing Word files, but maybe that's all you need to do in certain cases. Now, there are some third-party Office suites that you could download for free, and they would let you open Word documents, and you kind of get the same level of compatibility as Pages. Some things will work, some things won't. One of those is LibreOffice. You can get it from here. And another one is OpenOffice. You can get it from here. Not only are these good for opening up an occasional Word document, but they're pretty decent Office app suites, and they both have a lot of fans. And of course, one of the most popular Office suites is actually Google Docs, which you can use in a web browser for free. It's from Google. It's all online. So it's all done in a web browser. And guess what? You can import Word documents in here. So I'm just at docs.google.com. You could just have your free Google account with a few docs in here. You can actually go into the word processor, into Docs here, go to File, Open, and then from here you can go to Upload, and then you could drag a file into this, and it will import it in. And then there you go. You've got your document in here. Let's try the other one, and I'll go to Upload, drag this one in, and after I do that, I'll see them both here in Recent Documents. And you can see here it did a pretty good job of importing this layout document from Word. And then it can read it. I can copy items from it. And then it can go to File and do Download. And one of the options here is to download as Microsoft Word. So I'll use that, and then it'll go to my Downloads folder. I'll grab it out of there. And if I look at this one, let's open it with Microsoft Word here to see how it really looks now. You could see, yeah, it lost a lot of its page layout elements here. It doesn't quite look right. So it depends on the level of complexity of the document. But note, I could have gone to File and Download, and then downloaded a PDF. And the PDF now is actually going to look pretty good. And I want to finish with my favorite way to deal with getting a Microsoft Word document from somebody, and that is to push back at the source. I love to go back to the person and say, hey, you sent me a Microsoft Word document. I don't like to use Word. Can you just send that information in the email message, or perhaps give me a PDF instead? I always worry that while I know all these different methods for handling a Word document, that other people that this person is sending Word documents to may not know how to handle it. And so it's probably best that they think about it a little bit more before just sending a Word document to anybody. Hope you found this useful. Thanks for watching. If you like
Any comments or questions regarding that? So,
Yes. So if somebody were to send me that document as a PDF,
right.
aren't there limitations on editing PDFs?
Yes. Yes,
Absolutely.
there are. Yes. I don't know about editing a PDF. I'm currently trying,
No,
playing with it.
they should never send you a PDF intending for you
Right.
to edit it. It's just a nightmare.
Because yeah, it's a nightmare. It's exactly the word I was looking for. But I don't know why you put that in there. Maybe just because they want a copy of it or something. But
So what would be best, an open document format or RTF?
Word files are fine. DOCX files, LibreOffice is free. It opens it up. It works perfectly. You can edit it, send it back to anybody else in Word file. They don't even know you didn't have Word. It's the choice. It's the way to go.
Do any of you have open office? Can you say how does open office compare to LibreOffice?
oh, no,
Somebody
no,
said the
I'm
other day that
sorry.
OpenOffice is not being updated or supported anymore.
Correct. I
Yeah,
have
I
either.
heard it was discontinued. So there's
I
that.
prefer LibreOffice.
LibreOffice is updated all the time. It's amazing. It opens any word processing file ever made going back to WordStar and WordPerfect on DOS. It's amazing.
Yeah, I have a little story about LibreOffice where it even opened Word
Sure,
3.5,
absolutely. Sure, absolutely.
Um,
and
it
I
can,
became a hero. So
yeah, it can open old AppleWorks files, old Apple Writer files.
you
Well,
know,
Um,
it opens AppleWorks files better than Pages. I had somebody with a bunch of pages. I mean, AppleWorks, and you think they would import into Pages? Like, okay, no, not so much. Opened into LibreOffice, perfect. It's
It even
crazy.
opens right now.
I think Apple does that deliberately.
It even opens right now.
Yeah, you don't use it, get LibreOffice just so you have it around. This is a utility. It's very handy.
I'm looking on the App Store for LibreOffice.
No, don't get it from the App Store. It's open source.
right.
Oh,
Google it, LibreOffice stuff.
okay. I
I think it's not org.
have an old version of it.
Yeah, it's updated a lot.
Okay.
It's on
Like
version
weekly.
24 or something.
Oh,
Yeah, it's 24.5. I saw it on
Yeah,
there, but I have
it's
something like
updated all the
17.
time.
Hmm.
And they have
Yeah.
older versions there they have every version they ever made going back to
Yeah.
when they first started. If you have an ancient computer that won't run the current version, you can go back and find your operating system and version and find one that does work.
Yeah, you download it from LibreOffice.org.
Right.
The main page has download links.
Yeah.
okay.
And if you
It's
want
a
to use
real
it
good
as
tool.
your main word processor, go to settings under load save, and it'll default to saving text files as a LibreOffice file. I think it's ODS or something. But you can
ODF.
Right.
and you can change it to always save as Word DOCX 365 if you want. And you can set spreadsheets to always save as XLSX Microsoft Excel files automatically. So when you make a new one, it'll save as that, and you can give it to somebody with Office, and they can trade it back and forth. They don't know the difference. It just works.
Yeah, I think that ODF format isn't LibreOffice format, it's open document format.
Yeah,
So
It
it's
is.
universal.
right.
But
Yeah.
will Apple products open ODF files?
No idea.
Not easily.
My
Apple's not a big supporter of ODF. I keep running into problems with that.
See, I bought a cheapo license to Microsoft Office 2021 for home and business, which was, I forget what I paid for it, $60 or something like that, $50. couple of years ago, and it still works fine.
You can get, usually, I thought it was sort of iffy, but Apple Insider
Yes.
always has a deal on Office for less than $50.
Yeah.
And one time it got down to 25, and I said, heck, I'll try it and see if this is the real deal. And it was. You get the license, you go to Microsoft, you license it, and you get the license from Microsoft, and it's good. And I've since had other people do it, and I helped them. It's kind of a pain because you have to have a Microsoft Live.com login and license it through them, and the regular procedure when you buy it anywhere. And that's how you make it work. And it's real. I don't know how they do it, but it's always, I mean, it's not the current. I think it's whatever. I could look and see what the current
Well,
version is.
It was the current version when I bought
Yeah,
it.
whatever is the current paid version at the time, which is, I don't know what it is, what version I have.
But not a lot of people buy it that way because
No, nobody knows. I don't know why.
they buy the 365 subscription.
Right. I don't know how they even get away with it. It's the version they sell for $150. The standalone, non-upgradable, one-time license. It says version 16.87. I don't know if that's what year that is. Created 2023.
Well, I'm looking at my Microsoft Word for Mac, and it says version 16.87.
Yeah, that's the same version I got then.
Which is Office Home and Business 2021.
There you go. Which works. You don't get up. You don't. There's not, man. When you run an upgrade, it says there's no upgrades. You don't get any newer versions. So it's like the version you used to buy in the box. You get it, you own it until it breaks, and you don't get no upgrades.
I'd like to ask for the opposite. Is there any iOS-based app that I can put on my tablet or my phone that can directly open ODF files?
No idea. No idea. I think Google is your friend.
Yes.
Google opens
Google
ODF
it.
files?
No, ask Google.
Yeah. Google it.
Oh, that.
Too easy.
No. No.
How to open those kind of files on an iPhone? Somebody surely will point you to an app.
Open Document Reader.
There you go.
View ODT on the App Store.
There's another application called UpUDF, a feature-rich app that allows users to access, view, edit, annotate, convert, organize, and secure. Well, let's see, that's PDF.
There is no LibreOffice for iOS.
All right.
Thank you, Apple.
I'm sure they're working on it.
I think Apple's stopping.
We want to use Pages.
Okay.
Yeah, here's another one. It says open document format ODF files can be opened on iOS devices using Office for iPhones or iPads. So you have to have Office. There's an open document reader, as Kenji pointed out, called View ODT. And
Does Google Docs?
Reader.
Does Google Docs
It might
open
be
it?
00, but it looks like capital O Reader on the App Store.
Open Office.
There's Collabora Office for Android and iOS. I don't know if that's free or not.
Google can be your friend.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at.
Yep.
I wonder if Google Docs can open.
Yeah. drag it in.
Google Docs you
Pop it
can
in
run
there.
on iOS.
But hell, if Google is your friend is the answer to all our Q&A, we're going to have shorter meetings.
Pretty soon it'll be Chat GTP as your friend.
Yeah, right. That would be.
Well, I'm finding that increasing if I ask Google a question, the first response is an AI generated answer.
And many of those are hilariously unuseful.
Yeah. So anyway, the answer to your question is, yeah, there's a couple of things that you can put on your iPhone too, or iPad.
I'll try them.
Open document format documents.
Okay, any more comments on this topic? We can move on to another one. Another video.
Okay. So there we go with everything you can do with video and audio files without launching the app. You can, according to him, you can trim, you can extract frames, text, video, audio, all kinds of stuff. So I previously, there were some people, somebody, and I forget who, was asking, how do I extract a frame from a video? So let's find out what he's got to say.
I was asking.
Hi, this is Gary with MacMost.com. Let me show you everything you can do with video and audio files on your Mac without even needing to launch an app. MacMost is brought to you thanks to a great group of more than 2,000 supporters. Go to MacMost.com/Patreon. There you could read more about it, join us, and get exclusive content and course discounts. So of course, if you have a video file or an audio file on your Mac, you can open it up in various different apps that handle that kind of file, even in QuickTime Player, and do lots of different things with it. But you can also do a lot with these files without opening up any app. For instance, let's say you've got a video like this, and if I were to double click it, it would open a QuickTime Player, and you could see there's a problem here. The video was filmed in portrait mode, but you ended up with video that's rotated 90 degrees. You can correct that without even needing to go to an app. If you just bring up the context menu for this file by either control clicking it, two-finger clicking on a trackpad, or right-clicking on a mouse, you can go to Quick Actions, and one of the options you should have is Rotate Left. If you use that, it'll rotate the video, and now when I double-click it to open, you could see it's rotated the right way. Now you can get to those Quick Actions another way. If you go to View and then Show Preview, not only do you get a nice preview on the right, but there's room for 2 quick action buttons. You can also click more here and customize, and this will determine whether or not these are even active. So you can see here I do have Rotate Left active, and it's the first one, so it's going to appear first here in the list. Now you can see here the next quick action button is Trim, and you can of course also get to it this way. And if I use this, I can trim the video, and you can see I'm still in the Finder here. I haven't launched an app. This is just built-in macOS system functionality. Now I've got this view here, and I can actually play the video. I could also grab the left end and the right end and trim the video to exactly where I want. I can revert or click Done, and it would perform the trim, taking out the part before and after. Now you can also play video right here in the Finder. One way to do it is just simply to have this preview pane open here on the right, and you can click there to play. You can also, if you're in icon view, see this video here, and there's actually a play button. You could play the video and see a tiny little video player right there as the icon. Now a better way to do this, especially if you're not using icon view, is to use Quick Look. So you can control click and then choose Quick Look, but the best way to get there is just simply to select the file and press the space bar. And this turns into a little video player. You can pause, you can jump ahead and back, you can even choose playback speed here, you can jump into the trimming tool, and you can rotate here as well. Another thing you can do in Quick Look is you can get text. So notice here if I move my pointer over text while the video is paused, I can select the text and then Command C to copy it. I also got this little button here that I can click, and it will show me where it finds text. And then I can copy all of the text. You can also use Quick Look to copy a frame from a video. So with the video paused here, I can two-finger click or right-click on it, and you can see I've got copy image. So I could copy it to the clipboard, or I can share it right from here. Choosing share does allow me to airdrop this as a file, or email it, or send it in messages, even add this frame as a photo to my photos library. Another thing you can do is if you clearly have a subject in the photo, notice that if I right-click or two-finger click, I get copy subject, and it will outline the subject there. And I can copy just the subject with a transparent background behind. And I could also share directly. So I can share the subject right here to messages, for instance, and you could see what I get. Also, in Quick Look, when you have the video paused and there's something in the frame that can be identified, you'll see a little info button here, and you can click and it could get info on what it found. Another thing you could do with video that's not a quick action is to convert it. So if I'm going to convert this video here, I can go into the context menu, and not under quick actions, but under services, there's encode selected video files. And it brings up this little control here. The controls itself is a little messed up, but it works perfectly fine. You can choose some various different settings here for the type of video you want to export. You can choose a destination or use the same as source, and you can choose whether this replaces that file. And then if you continue, you'll just get a new version of this video, and you can see it right here. Now for audio files, you can do a lot of this stuff too. So here I have a WAV file, and notice I have the trim option available here or under quick actions like that. So I can go in and I can trim the audio, and I can play a little bit of it to hear it, get what I want, and click done. You can also play back audio a variety of different ways. One is to use the preview here on the right. You can see there's a little play button in the middle of it. If I am an icon view, then I can actually play the audio by just clicking on the icon. I can also use the spacebar and go to Quick Look, and you can see I get playback controls here just like in a video. There's just nothing to show up here. You also have the ability to convert audio, but only from certain formats to certain other formats. So for this WAV file here, I can go to services and there's encode. And from a WAV file, I can encode it in one of 4 different ways. High quality, iTunes Plus, Apple Lossless, which will be the highest quality, and Spoken Podcast, which is going to be like the lowest quality. So if you really want to see what these do, you need to select one and then set the destination. I'll set it to not delete. I'll continue. It's going to convert it. You can see it here saved as an MPEG file. So M4A is the extension, but you could change that to MP4 if you wanted to. And then here you can see that this is 600K, whereas the original was more than 21 megs. But you won't get the same options with other types of files. Like for instance, with MP3 files, you won't be able to encode it to anything. If I choose any encoder here, it's going to give me an error. The same thing with MP4 file. I notice the MP3 file doesn't even give me the trimming option. Only the MPEG file and the WAV file do that. So you're kind of limited to what you can do. But if you have a bunch of files and this works for you, you can save a lot of time. You can even batch convert. So I've got 2 WAV files here. And if I were to go to services and encode, and then select something like, let's say, Spoken Podcast to make them smaller, and then continue, it's going to convert both of those. One other thing that you can do with audio and video files is you can get information on them without going into an app. So with a video file like this selected, I can choose File and Get Info or Command I. And notice here under More Info, you can open and close this section here. It's going to give me things like dimensions. It's going to give me the codec and various other information about the file. And the same thing for audio files. So you can see under More Info, I get things like duration and sample rate and such. And of course, you can open up audio and video files in a variety of different apps, including QuickTime Player, which will allow you to do a lot more. And you can do things like, for instance, share the files from the Finder to send them to somebody else over AirDrop or maybe mail or messages, or maybe to add a video or audio file to, say, Notes. Hope you found this useful. Thanks for watching.
So there you go. I found this interesting because there is a way to get that one clip out of or one frame out of a video, and I have a few videos. That's all I'm interested in is like 1 or 2 frames that I want to save to my pictures. So
I thought that was super. I thought that was super useful.
there was a couple of couple of things that he did that I didn't understand, but I got what I want out of it. So uh, I don't know. Some of the stuff maybe is beyond me,
For
but
audio files, there's a freeware program called XLD that allows you to do basically to convert any audio file to any other format, change the bit rate, do all this stuff. So like if you had an MP3 that you wanted to edit, you could convert it to something else and then convert it back. You'd have some loss of quality by doing that because MP3 is lossy, but yeah, I love the fact that you can rotate things, including videos, simply in the Finder. I had no clue about that.
Mhm.
you don't have to start. You don't have to start the app at all. You can do it in the Finder. So good to
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
And
Stuff. Yeah.
anybody else? Well, if not, this is all the videos I have. The
No, you got
next
one more. You got one more.
I do. The next one is, man, when I came across this, I had to show it. This is about the 8 craziest Apple prototypes and unreleased products. And one of them is the latest thing that they stopped working on. So let's see the machinery that we never saw. Here you go.
Apple only shows off its finished products, which makes the early concepts and abandoned designs all the more fascinating. Details about these products that never came to be don't come out for years after the fact. So today I'm going to walk through 40 years of the 8 craziest unreleased Apple products. After the first couple models of the Macintosh shipped, by the end of 1984, Apple executives started to make a plan for what would come to replace the Macintosh. Wait, what? That's crazy, right? Well, in the 70s and 80s, it was actually pretty common for a company to put out a few different models of similar machines and then replace it with something entirely different that would break compatibility. So it actually wasn't out of the question that a few years after the Macintosh, even after all that research and development, Apple would sell a completely different computer. The Macintosh was approachable and easy to use, but it wasn't as expandable as the Apple II. And it wasn't as powerful as some of the high-end machines from Sun, Amiga, and DEC. Apple's idea to bring the best of these all together was a concept called the Apple Jonathan. With these modules that were about the size of a hardcover book, you could easily configure a machine within your budget to your taste, and in the future you could upgrade it or add more modules with a hard drive, better graphics, upgraded storage, or even third-party accessories. And of course, because it was a professional computer, it was black. Such a machine would have been highly ambitious to engineer, especially in the 1980s. Apple would never make anything like it, nor would any other computer manufacturer. In reality, the Macintosh won out after all, although Apple expanded the lineup to start at the low-range Macintosh Plus, the mid-range Macintosh SE, and the gigantic, top-of-the-line Macintosh 2. Another experiment in the Macintosh form factor came in the mid-90s with the Apple Paladin, which takes the idea of an all-in-one computer to the next level. This Mac comes with a built-in phone, scanner, and fax machine. It's peak 90s. You'd be able to switch between all these functions using the buttons right there on the face of the machine. This would be targeted at small businesses who want all these features, but on a tighter budget, with just one purchase. It also could have been targeted at people who would find the process of buying a PC tower, monitor, keyboard, mouse, fax machine, printer, scanner, phone a little too intimidating. The mind races imagining just how fast Steve Jobs would have destroyed it with a baseball bat if he ever saw one. The smartphone before the smartphone was the PDA, or Personal Digital Assistant. The Palm Pilot was the most famous example. Apple's offering was called the Newton Message Pad. It was the personal passion project of then CEO John Sculley, who was trying to make his own mark on the company. The The Apple Newton was roughly the size of an iPad mini, or in other words, just slightly too big to fit in a normal pocket. But the original prototypes included a much bigger version too. The screen is about the size of a letter sheet of paper, with even bigger black bezels, expanding it into a sprawling tablet. This isn't a PDA you whip out to jot down a few notes. This is a tablet you set up on a desk. Early versions of the Apple Newton famously failed to live up to the promise of truly seamless handwriting recognition, as they were mercilessly mocked for. Later versions of the Apple Newton, like the MessagePad 2000 that were more powerful, were actually pretty good devices that did everything they were set out to do. But of course, the one feature that would have been a killer app for these PDAs hadn't been invented in the mid-90s, and that would have been Wi-Fi. Maybe if the Newton had a little more time, a larger, more powerful, tablet-sized version could have been feasible as a product. Now, little did people know that just a few years after the Newton was discontinued, Apple once again started working on touchscreen tablets as early as 2002. And this prototype looks very much like a member of the Apple family of the era. You can imagine it fitting in perfectly next to the classic white iPod, iMac G4, and iBook. It's about as thick as a laptop from the early 2000s, but without a giant array of ports and slots. The sleek white case looks incredibly modern, and that thin black border around the all-screen design looks uncannily similar to today's iPad Pro. Older resistive touchscreens used in the Apple Newton, Nintendo DS, and higher-end cars before the advent of the modern smartphone required a stylus for smaller screens and couldn't support multi-finger gestures. Screens that you could just tap instead of poke were actually a very exciting technological development. According to Scott Forstall, the former Apple executive, in an interview given on the 10th anniversary of the iPhone, the very first tech demo of this involved a ceiling-mounted projector pointed down at a table-sized capacitive surface, running an early version of Mac OS X, to try out interactions like swiping to scroll or dragging a window to move it around. It's unknown to this day just how developed this prototype was. There are no pictures of it running, so it's safe to assume it wasn't functional at all. It wouldn't be until years later that the idea came around to shrink down the tablet into a phone-sized device, and another 3 years later that the tablet as originally envisioned would ship. In the 2000s, Apple's bread and butter was the iPod, and Apple executives were aggressively trying to turn that enthusiasm into sales for the Mac to gain back some PC market share. The thinking was that as people go into the Apple Store to check out the iPod, to try and sell them on the Mac as well. The face of this campaign was the Mac Mini. For just $4.99, Apple's cheapest Mac ever, you could literally unplug your PC and plug in a Mac instead with the same display, keyboard, and mouse. And what better way to show off that the Mac Mini is the iPod computer than to build an iPod Nano dock into the Mac Mini? You can just imagine how these would be perfectly lined up in the Apple Store, right between the table with the iPods and all the other Macs. But it does beg the question, what happens if you have a full-size iPod and not an iPod Nano? What if Apple changes the design of the iPod Nano, as they would just a few years later? But above all else, what probably killed it is that when you don't have an iPod plugged into it, you just have a weird hole in the top of your Mac Mini, and Steve Jobs would have found that unacceptable. Once Steve Jobs and Scott Forstall decided that Apple should make a phone, there were two obvious paths forward. Either they could take that tablet concept from earlier and shrink it down into a handheld device, or they could take the existing iPod and add a phone onto it. They weren't sure which would be the better approach, so they set up two teams in parallel to try both ideas. The iPod team had a head start because the iPod was already a fully developed product, and it was proven to be popular among consumers. All they really had to do was add a cellular radio and add a new interface for it. But according to former Vice President Tony Fadell, that's where the problems immediately became apparent. Because while the iPod's click wheel interface is great for scrolling through a giant list of music, It was reportedly terrible at dialing phone numbers. The iPod is a consumption device. You organize and manage your music on your Mac. You browse and listen to it on your iPod. The iPod doesn't have a keyboard for dialing in phone numbers, much less texting or creating contacts. From a modern perspective, an iPod phone sounds absolutely ridiculous, but bear in mind that from 2004's perspective, the iPhone we ended up with wasn't guaranteed to work either. Mac OS X was barely running on full-size desktop computers, never mind handheld battery-powered devices. And Mac OS X was also in the middle of a processor transition from PowerPC to Intel. The ARM chip that the iPhone ran on would represent a third platform that a lot of the same software would have to be compiled for. The silly idea of an iPod phone was immortalized in the iPhone's actual introduction as a joke by Steve Jobs before he unveiled the real thing. But how did we end up on that original iPhone? Because once Apple settled on a software stack, the matter of its physical shape became something of a design playground. Some of these early prototypes look a bit familiar. This slick black rounded design became the iPhone 3G and 3GS. This ice cream sandwich sort of design eventually became the iPhone 4 and 4S. And even this early, you can see echoes of the iPhone 5 and 5S with these prototypes that have taller, skinnier displays. A lot of these early designs are clearly influenced by the iPod, with square corners that are rounded along the edges, an aluminum face instead of a black plastic face, a sliding power switch instead of a clicking button. Some of them even have menu written on the home button instead of the iconic rounded rectangle. There are some truly bizarre one-off designs in there as well, like this one that's octagonal, this one that has a giant rounded hump on the back. So while the 2007 iPhone might not have been the prettiest, it does go to show that, in Apple's own words, there really are 1,000 no's for every yes. One of Apple's worst kept secrets in recent years is the Apple Car project. Unlike most of their secret projects, building a car required the hiring of hundreds of specialty engineers outside the domain of building iPhones and Macs. So from the outside, it was really easy to track the revolving door of managers the project had over the years. But what did it look like? How did it work? What were its quirks and features? All of that was a mystery until the project was shut down and all of those employees were fired, and with nothing left to lose, the world quickly found out. The first design, known affectionately as the bread loaf, would have looked something like the Canoe EV. According to Bloomberg reporter Mark Gurman, it would have been something of a minivan crossed with a Volkswagen bus with sliding doors and a glass canopy. The cabin would have club seating like a private plane, and passengers would be able to turn some of the seats into recliners and footrests. Going all in on full autonomy, it would have no dashboard, no steering wheel, no pedals whatsoever. A second design, under the direction of Kevin Lynch, was pod-shaped, with curved glass sides that would double as gull wing doors, and ramps that would automatically fold out for the easy loading of cargo. It was identical in the front and the back, and the designers were still so confident in full self-driving that it didn't have windows in the front or the back. Considering that to this day, no one has been able to deliver on full self-driving, it's no wonder that Apple wasn't able to make it work either. But while Apple is no longer in the game, other automakers are still trying to work the problem, to varying degrees of success. So those are some of the craziest Apple prototypes in history. Personally, I still really want an Apple Jonathan. Remember to like and subscribe. I'm D. Griffin Jones with Cult of Mac.
Oh, there we go. I finally saw the Apple car that didn't make it.
That's too bad. It looked pretty cool.
Those Apple Car prototypes were very much like the prototype designs that both Cruise and Zoox has. for their purpose-built robo-taxis. They've actually,
Cruise and Zooks, did you say?
yes.
Never heard of Zooks.
Zooks is in an earlier stage of development. You see them all over San Francisco, still with safety drivers. They're a San Francisco startup that was acquired by Amazon.
Hmm.
Okay, are we done
Well,
with, you want to move on to general questions?
Yeah, this is where we ask questions. So
Any questions, any more talk about what we just, any of the videos, or we'll move on to general Q&A? I'll
Carol-
restart the,
Carol's got a question.
Well, this is not about any of the videos. It's just a
Okay,
general purpose.
well, let's move to the next segment. Okay, anybody watching this DVBug members on YouTube, you can watch the next section, which is general Q&A with a link on the BBS. And to YouTube, we'll see you later. All right, I'll restart the video.